Hello, this is Arvid from Lazy Reviews. In this video, I will be reviewing Rob Zombie's two Halloween movies, and the audio is taken from the full review I did of the entire Halloween franchise. So if you're interested in the entire franchise, I would recommend you to see that video instead of this one. But I did decide to take that segment and turn it into its own review, video, because I know that maybe there you don't want to sit down and hear about all the Halloween movies if you're only interested in hearing about Rob Zombie's movies. So yeah, that means that there will be references to things I said in that video about some of the other movies, but I don't think it really should ruin your viewing experience of this one. And I think that's all I have to say, so have fun, enjoy the video. So I'm almost reaching the 1 hour mark, and I have 5 more movies to go. And I think the problem is that the next 2 movies are so oddly garbage that I will have so much to say, but also hate myself while saying it. So hope you stay on, and if you don't, I understand you. I'm honestly not even sure how to start here. So Rob Zombie's Halloween remake from 2007 does everything that's bad or could be done to ruin the Halloween universe. So it decides to be an origin story. So the first, I think, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or even more, it feels long. It's just Michael Myers' childhood. Turns out his mom is a stripper slash prostitute. His stepdad is an asshole. His sister is so horny that it's disturbing. And he's being bullied in school, and he also kills animals. And nobody's basically being nice to him. Everybody is being a bully. And okay, so we don't need to know why Michael Myers did what he did. The only one he has a good relationship with the mom. Again, we didn't need to know that. He ends up killing a kid who bullied him. I don't need. There's so much fucking shit to talk about here. So the thing, what I actually kind of even hate about this movie is it has so many brilliant B, even A tier actors thrown into a given small small roles, and it feels so cheap. It's just, oh, that's his face. Oh, that's lovely. But then you realize he's in this movie, so it's just shit on his legacy. For example, the principal of the school is played by the iconic 80s, 90s villain. I forgot his name, unfortunately. He's the villain in the third Puppet Master movie. He's the villain in Action USA. No, sorry, Invasion USA. He's in a lot of those movies. Always nice to see him in a movie, and now, no, not in this one. It's just sad. And he's old. Of course he is. It's weird to see him. You still recognize him, but it kind of looks like they made him even use prosthetics or something to make him look even older, because I don't think he's aged that much in 15 years or something. So between this and the last movie we saw him, and it looks really unnatural. And also, this movie is full of plot inconsistencies and terrible world building. There's no attention to detail. This is just Rob Zombie wanting to do something that is cool in his universe, and he has the worst taste in anything. I mean, okay, he does like some cool music, but then again, the cool music he likes is just what's in fucking Halloween 1. This is a remake, but it's such a terrible remake. It's just, he is so disgusting. This movie has, you see, what's supposed to be teenage tits 3 times in this movie. You have 3 teenage sex scenes in this movie. It's disgusting. I don't want to see teenage tits, even if the actors are 18 or 19 or how old they are. I don't want to see it. I don't want to think I'm looking at underage people have sex in this disgusting film. And there's so much crying and yelling, so much shaky cams, just crying and yelling, crying and yelling. It's the only way he can write dialogue. And swearing is the only thing Rob Zombie knows how to do. He's such a terrible director and writer, producer. He just can't do shit, and this is terrible. And I haven't even started talking about the movie. This broke me. I think I said that Halloween 5 broke me. It broke me in another way. And you know what? There's even continuation, because the girl who plays Denise in Halloween 4 and 5 is back here. I think that she's called Danielle Harris. She's now playing a teenager. I looked it up. She's pretty much, I think she's in the mid-30s when playing this role, and she's playing one of the teenagers. She's actually playing Laurie Strode, because Laurie Strode survives the killing. Michael Myers doesn't kill her. He kills the sister, the stepfather, and the sister's boyfriend. Doesn't kill Laurie Strode, doesn't kill the mom. And I want to go back to all the inconsistencies. So this movie opens in what looks like the 70s. Young Michael Myers, who's played by a terrible actor, I'm sorry to say, he is wearing a Kiss t-shirt. The jackets people are wearing look like at least like very 70s, leather jackets with those manes. Sorry, I forgot what those things are called. Those fluffy collars and everything. The cars are from the 70s, or at least mostly the 70s. So it looks like it's set in the 70s. Only Michael is incarcerated. It's set by Danny Trejo because, of course, he's in it. It's said by his character that he took care of Michael Myers for almost 20 years in prison. No, sorry, in the mental asylum. And we see Michael Myers undergoing treatment by Dr. Loomis and his mom while incarcerated. Then 15 years pass, so let's be generous. Let's say he has been incarcerated for 17 years, that they were trying to treat him for 2 years. So even saying that, so Michael Myers is then 27 when he breaks out. That means that 17 years have passed, so we would still be in the early to mid 90s. So this movie came out 2007. This movie, they had 2007 telephones. So the movie starts in the 70s. 15 years pass, or 17 years pass, or whatever, and it's modern day. It's that bad. It's that bad. And Michael Myers, he's supposed to be in his mid-late 20s? Even being very, very generous, he's supposed to be 30. He's played by a 40-year-old man in this film. Even maybe older than 40. And he looks 40 because in the second movie you see his face all the time. And the second film only came out a year or two after this. And it's so... And this copies all the scenes that are good for the first one and just remakes them terribly. So, for example, Michael Myers, the way he gets the hat in this one is that the boyfriend of Laurie Strode puts the hat on to, make a joke during sex. It doesn't work. It's so contrived. It's so goddamn contrived. That's where Michael Myers gets the mask. It is established that he has a thing for masks, but the Michael Myers mask, which does look different in this film, originally it was a slightly altered... sorry, I forgot his name. The guy from Star Trek. It was slightly altered mask that they had just bought and changed a bit and then used. I will put up the name here in the video somewhere. But yeah, he goes into the room, and as in the first one, that's true. John Carpenter did show tits at the first girl, but we don't see a sex scene. So, there, I don't know. Yes, John Carpenter did it, that's true. We did see, briefly we saw some breasts in that scene. He did it to much less extent than Rob Zombie does, but that is something that he actually did copy, and then I have to admit is in the first film. But in this one, he does kill his sister right after she had sex, wearing the mask, making her think, of course, it's the boyfriend. The problem is this movie also, I think this is the first time I've seen this in any movie. The very, very bad idea of shooting the same scene twice. You have the exact same scene take place twice in this film. It's with a girl right after sex listening to Blue Oyster Cult loudly in the 70s or wherever it's supposed to start. She's listening to it with headphones. The other one, she turns on the radio. The radio in 2007, random radio station plays Blue Oyster Cult Don't Fear the Reaper, and she listens to it. I'm sorry, but there's nothing established in this movie that would suggest that this girl likes 70s rock music. For all intents and purposes, she seems like a normal girl in 2007. They don't listen to 70s rock music, but she enjoys it so much so that she turns on the volume. She has no reason for that scene other than, hey, callback. So the same scene has her listen to the same music twice, has the boyfriend, long-haired boyfriend, get up, go down somewhere, being killed by Michael Myers, then Michael Myers taking on the costume of that person or hiding the identity and then returning to kill the girl. So as we have in the first Halloween movie, we have after sex, glassed guy goes up to get a beer, he's killed, and then Michael Myers shows up wearing a ghost costume. They do the exact same scene here, only that they do it the exact same way it's shot in the scene that Michael Myers kills the sister. So that's what I mean. They had the same scene twice here. And it's really frustrating. And they had the same scene twice. It's to such an extent that they even kind of try to make the guy who's killed while getting beer in modern day, they try kind of style him after the guy in the original Halloween. So it's just such a weird homage. And had they only remade that scene, but no, they had to do the same scene twice. And I've been repeating myself. I've been saying the same thing twice, more than twice. but it's just to hammer home how bad this idea is. This broke me. I already said that this movie, and I have so much more to say about it. It's garbage. Okay, so let's backtrack. Still to the early beginning of the movie. I haven't even talked about how Michael Myers breaks out of the prison or out of the mental asylum. So the movie has a few cool ideas. So Michael's obsession with masks, you see his cell, and the walls are just decorated with masks he made himself. Also, after he kills the sister, the entire family except for the mom, and Laurie Strode, he has amnesia. He forgot that he did it. And then his mental state just gets worse and worse and worse until he kills a nurse and is locked up for good. So both the mom and the mom, I think, kills herself after that. He kills the nurse, and then Dr. Loomis also gives up on him. And, realizes he's just a monster that can't be helped. So Danny Trejo works as a janitor at this mental asylum that looks incredibly unsanitary. And I think the sad thing is that some mental asylums probably do look like that, but I hope most don't. In this mental asylum, there's this redneck guy who's a rapist who invites his cousin in, and it's established that they often rape these incarcerated women, and it's never discovered because apparently that mental state asylum does not have security cams because reasons. And they enter. Michael Myers in this is played by a wrestler, so he's huge. They enter his cell to mock him by rape the woman in front of him, and he's not really chained up or anything. I think he's slightly chained up, but he can easily break free. And of course, he doesn't kill somebody. Think of the worst way you can write a scene for someone escaping a mental state asylum. Think of the most stupid people you can write into your movie. This movie has it. It's frustratingly bad. And he goes on to murder. He tracks down Laurie. Honestly, I don't really want to talk too much about this. So let's do it quickly. It's so much a remake of the first one and the second film that he goes around killing the different teenagers. And it's just also quite dark. The way people are killed in this movie, it's disgusting. I'm not against gore. It's just not really a nice way to shoot it in this film. It's all because of all the screaming and yelling. I don't know. It's just it makes me mad. It breaks my brain. It has one scene I kind of like, and that's the toilet scene. I'm not gonna say anymore. It's a very short scene, and it's only works because, as I said, Rob Zombie knows how to throw interesting people into his movie and give them small roles. So that's why that works. The rest of the movie absolutely doesn't work. Am I done? Can I please be done with this? I should say that of course, it's the same movie as the first one, so pretty much everything happens in that, just worse. And in the end, she's not saved by Dr. Loomis. I forgot who's supposed to be Laurie Strode because two girls survive the ending of this one. And I think maybe it's not Danielle Harris who's supposed to be Laurie Strode. I think it's the blonde girl who's supposed to be Laurie Strode. But both of them also in the sequel, they are keep being together. So I think the other girl is someone else. I think the other girl's supposed to be the girl in the first one whose father is the sheriff or in the sheriff's department. Anyway, both of them survive, and Laurie Strode ends up killing Michael Myers by shooting him in the head. The scene is okay, and it would have been okay had it not been for it ending with her screaming her lungs out, crying her lungs out. It's just way too much. I'll collect my thoughts before moving on to the next one, also to see if there's something I forgot to mention, because, as I said, this movie is so hot garbage that I could probably just go on. I could probably talk 1 hour or more just about how bad this movie is. I'd rather not, but let's see. I think the only thing I forgot to mention is how ugly the film is. So most of it is dark, but also in kind of that bluish way. The sound design is not good. It's not the worst, but it's not good. And I already talked about all the shaky cam, but generally the cinematography, the camera work, there's just nothing appealing about this movie. And I think Rob Zombie kind of likes making ugly films. I don't know if it's on purpose, but all his movies are ugly. Even I think I kind of like The Devil's Rejects, but that's also an ugly film. I don't know if he just likes slug so much that he makes it ugly on purpose, or if he's so incompetent that it ends up this way either way. And I think that's what, and I will also talk about this with the second one from the Halloween 2 from 2009, that I think what frustrates me, there are movies that are bad, like Halloween 2, 4 and 5. Those movies are bad, but it's kind of just because they're dull, and I don't know, the fifth one is also because of child acting, but then there's a movie like this where it kind of seems like it's bad on purpose, but not because someone tried to make it so bad it's good movie or anything like that, just because the people making it have such a poor, disgusting taste in movies and in how to make movies that what they end up making is just purposefully horrendous, distasteful. That they like. I wrote this down for the second film, but I can just say it now. Rob Zombie feels like an old man trying to be as edgy as possible. Like it's pathetically edgy. It feels like one man just his only direction instruction is just edgy, 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 make this edgy, more edgy, more edgy. Oh, I want that edginess. Like he so desperately tries to be cool in his own way. And I think, I mean, the only reason why he can make movies is because he has a successful music career that allows him to spend money on these movies. And I also forgot to mention that his wife is, I think she's one of the actresses I hate the most of all actresses because she's always overacting. She's always given way too much screen time. And the only reason why she has a career is because her husband has all the money to make these movies, because she has absolutely no talent. And every time she's on screen, she chews the scenery in all the worst ways. Subtlety is not a word she knows. She's just, oh man, she's just, her screen presence is terrible. I think I might be a bit too harsh on her. I think it also just because she's in these bad movies made by someone who has a very bad taste in movies. But honestly, I never seen her give a performance that I liked. I think the only reason why she kind of works in Devil's Rejects is because her character is supposed to be so utterly terrible and over the top that it doesn't frustrate you that much. But she is always so gross, so annoying, so yeah, you don't like to see her. So the only reason why she works in a movie is if you are not supposed to like to see her. In this movie, she's playing the mom. You're supposed to have sympathy for her, but you don't like to see her in this movie as well. And I would say her performance in this is actually not absolutely horrendous, only in the very opening. In Halloween 2, she becomes obnoxious. So let's talk about Halloween 2 now, from 2009. I had to take a break between talking about the first Rob Zombie movie and talking about the second one, just to gather some thoughts, because honestly, and I did a lot of thinking, this is not just pulled out of my ass. I think the second Rob Zombie movie is the worst movie I've seen, at least within the last year. And that means if you've seen other videos on my channel, you know what kind of bad movies I watch. So one thing that does make it different is a lot of the bad movies I watch are just boring and uninspired. This one tries to do something, and it tries so hard to do something. The problem is what it tries to do is so bad. And I would say the same about the first Rob Zombie movie, only the first Rob Zombie movie is a remake. The sequel is just all over the place and has nothing to do with Halloween. Well, it does. It's not like Halloween 3, but it has nothing to do with the established story of Michael Myers. It's really something different. And for all my criticism, at least Rob Zombie creates something different. It might be absolutely terrible in my opinion, but he has some ideas. He has some inspiration. He has something he wants to create. That and he's not trying to please anyone but himself. Probably he makes movies that just appeals to what he would like to make, and that is cool in a way. That there are people with the money who do that. It's just not movies you should necessarily watch, because yes, that means that it's even worse than the first Rob Zombie Halloween movie. So yeah, I do have some positive things to say about it, and those are mostly in the beginning, and even then they are surrounded or they are encircled and ambushed and whatever you can say about all the bad things. But this, like Halloween 2, is a direct sequel. You follow what happens right after the first one ends. So Michael Myers is picked up by an ambulance and driven away. Of course, he escapes. And already the dialogue is fuck, 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 shit, 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 racism, 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 sexist joke, crying, 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 yelling, yelling. That's the same dialogue as the first one, probably even worse than this one, and that's all you're gonna get. hysterical crying, bad acting. Only one performance in this one is slightly likable. Everybody is terrible, especially the lead actress. Danielle Harris is not good either. But the lead actress and her friend are frustratingly terrible. I don't know if they have a career. If they don't, I understand why. If they do, it's probably Rob Zombie's fault or whoever directed them and gave them the lines. But yeah, they are below C tier. They should, I don't know where he gets the actors. I mean, maybe his wife is hires them, just make sure no one plays better than her, which would actually be very easy to do. But yeah, I should start back. So yeah, it opens and then both Danielle Harris and Laurie Strode are taken away to another hospital where they're stitched together. I mean, they do end up the first movie with quite a few injuries, so they do need like quite a bit of stitching. And Michael Myers then escapes that car wreck and then walks to the hospital. So they have at least, I think, it's not really established. I think it's the same night. It's just really quick operation. So a few hours later, and Laurie Strode is so battered that when she walks around the halls there are nobody in halls. It's a really empty hospital. I don't know. Also seems a bit weird. She's holding this was it the IV set? You know, the thing with the bag and everything that drops into her and looks very big and clunky on her. I think there might even be some computers on it or something. So she holds on to that the whole way. And I think the only good thing about this movie is the opening here where Michael Myers hunts her in the hospital. Yes, we did get that at the ending of the first Halloween, the Halloween 2. But the difference is here that she's so battered and it's very difficult for her to escape. And she comes across some nice deaths, some that are really well made. And there's a really stupid death. I'll put some pictures in here where this lady, she walks around and then when Laurie Strode approaches her, she turns around and reveals that she's actually been cut in the face but hasn't realized it yet. But there's no way that could have happened the way it happened in the film. It's just one of those really stupid things that's only for surprise and shock effects for the audience to create cool visual. Which, you know, that's what Rob Zombie does. He doesn't care about logic or creating a believable universe or any like coherent world building. He just wants cool visuals and cool ideas that are cool to him. So you have that. And she walks around, she escapes the hospital and ends up being protected by some old guy. But Michael Myers breaks in. And here I already have one absolutely huge problem with this movie. It cuts to 1 year later. The last thing we see is Michael Myers breaking in and about to hit her. Cut to 1 year later. We don't know what happened. We don't know how she escaped. It might even be implied that it was a dream because she wakes up. But what happened at that hospital did happen in the movie from what I gather. So when it became a dream sequence and when it didn't, if that's the case, it's not really told to the audience. It's one of those absolutely... Rob Zombie painted himself into a corner and just decided to ignore it. Imagine if you watch Jaws and the last thing you see is that guy being swallowed up by the shark at the very end of the movie, and then the next thing you see is the beginning of Jaws 2. It's that level of terrible movie making that this film is full of. And I should also mention, at this point, you also know it has already established that there will be dream sequences or visions or whatever it is, because it has recast. Now, this is how it opens. It opens with back at the ward where Michael Myers' mother talks to Michael Myers about something that symbolism. This movie is full of symbolism. It talks about like the white horse symbolizing violence you don't release or something. And that's just an image throughout the movie. And they recast Michael. This movie was made 2 years later, but they got another kid to play Michael Myers, young Michael Myers in this movie, because of course they did. I know. I can understand. I mean, one thing is he's not a good actor, but doesn't seem like Rob Zombie cares about that. I can understand why he wouldn't want to return for this movie. That he saw what terrible film he had been in and just realized, okay, I shouldn't do this. Acting is not for me. At least not with Rob Zombie. I think maybe that's what happened. So yes, right after Michael Myers escapes the ambulance and has killed the crew, He walks down the road in the middle of the night, and oh, there is his mother all lit up, like she's all white with this white horse. And that becomes the theme of this film. So, this film, it seems like Michael Myers does not have an agency anymore, that he's led by his mother and has dream sequences not just with his mother, but also his younger self, where he's directed to do what he does. Yeah, that's what happens quite a lot, actually. But there will be some time before we see that again because Laurie Strode wakes up. She has nightmares. She's haunted by what she went through a year before, which makes sense. She's now with Daniel Harris living with a foster family, where the father, from what I gather, is either a sheriff or works in the sheriff department. Again, as I said, like the second film. And oh yeah, I guess it's just the father of Daniel Harris they now live with. So yeah, that makes sense. So she's going through therapy. She works at this hippie shop where they're very big hippies and they like listening to the music that Rob Zombie likes to listen to. Everybody does in this film. Yeah. And what happens? Sorry, a lot happens in this movie, but my brain tries to forget it. There's not room enough in my brain to fill it with this kind of disaster. I think the next scene we get is Michael Myers going to the strip club his mother worked at, and the strip club still has on the main sign and much of their advertisement they have the mother. So at this point, it might even be 15, 20 years ago she last worked at that strip club, and they still use her in the advertisement. It's oh my god. And of course, the mother directs him to kill them to enact revenge. So we have these sleazy people being killed off. That scene is not terrible. Again, it's Rob Zombie hiring people and casting people, and directing people and giving them lines. So all the dialogue is terrible. None of them are sympathetic. You don't want anything to do with them. It's just frustrating. And before this, you had your scenes. So the guy who owns the brothel, the strip club, it dresses up as Frankenstein's monster and tells children, like performs for children, but telling them like raunchy jokes. And Laurie Strode really likes that, but then she has this panic attack in the middle of everything. And I should note here that, and I think when I realized this, it made me angry, and just made me realize how petty and narcissistic a person Rob Zombie is. Because Laurie Strode in this film dresses up and has pretty much the same hair as Rob Zombie does in real life. So he's trying to think, oh, how should my main star in this movie look like? How should this cool girl who overcomes her difficulties and is struggling with a lot of things, but is still cool and she fought off Michael Myers, how should she dress? How should she deal with her problems? I guess she should just look like me. That's the kind of director and writer Rob Zombie is. The kind of person who just wants to see himself in the movie, who's so full of himself that he has a woman dress up as him. It's absolutely disgusting, honestly. It's insane, the level of narcissism. Oh, I really don't want to talk more about this movie, but I have to. There are a lot of establishing shots that now Michael Myers, he's being beaten by hillbillies, but then kills them. And Michael Myers is not wearing a mask anymore most of the time, so you can see he has a beard. And he walks around a bit like a QAnon caveman. And you have these establishing shots where he walks across a field, just walking to Haddonfield. Because the big reason why he goes to Haddonfield this time, it does not seem to be that he wants to kill Laurie Strode, although that's a part of it, but not really, because that takes a completely different turn. It's because Dr. Loomis is now an asshole. Dr. Loomis walks around with sunglasses, looking cool, talking shit. He even says the word fucking, which, thinking about Donald Pleasance, Dr. Loomis, is pretty much the biggest insult to him. He was a bit mad. He was suffering from PTSD from what had happened, but he was, this professional doctor who was trying to be as rational as he could in the situation. He was well spoken. To see him degenerated to this businessman, Dr. Loomis now tries to just use the story to sell books and becomes a pseudo celebrity. This horrible piece of shit, and that's just the. Okay, again, yes, it's interesting to take not just to do what everybody else did, but to take the figure or the character in a different direction. But it's also an insult to see Dr. Loomis treated this way. And his career dies in a scene where he's on this talk show where Weird Al Yankovic is there, and they kind of make fun of Dr. Loomis there. Not that I think Weird Al is given one or two lines, and they're really short, and it's really not. It's sad that they don't use that talent of his more. And his career is over. Then at that point, he realizes what he has done and has to try and save the situation, which is such a quick change in character motivation that it really is unbelievable. Again, going back to what has happened, Laurie Strode has more panic attacks and more dreams. She dreams that she's Michael Myers and is wearing the mask he wore in the first movie, the clown mask, and kills Daniel Harris. And then she has these epileptic episodes, and you see these frames coming in of her with an inverted cross in her face and blood. And you see a window written on Alice Cooper, itchy. It's very itchy. Everything is itchy and dark. And of course, she's possessed by the soul of Michael Myers. It's in her blood to kill. This insanely bad way of making a film. And I think you might read this on paper and think that is not the worst idea. But when you see how it's done in the film, the camera work, the acting, the over the top, the itchiness, the everything, it's really, really bad. And then it's a cut with this picture of Michael Myers' mother, who's kind of praying like she's not praying, but she's kind of this deity performing a ritual to mind control the daughter. And the thing is, that happens later in the movie. That's one of the next scenes is a big Halloween party where suddenly she appears on stage and Laurie Strode can see her and young Michael, and they kind of try and possess her. So this movie established that Michael Myers is supernatural, or at least the universe is supernatural. And the other movies kind of played with it. It's in her blood, it's in her DNA, or whatever, to kill, just as it was with Michael Myers. Which movie was it that did that? That was Halloween 4. Whereas this film is just, it's bonkers. It goes as far as it can to establish something wacky and symbolic and whatever, and it's ugly and terrible while doing it. And you basically just have all these terrible scenes, that the Halloween party, terrible sex scenes, terrible kills. You have actually one, and that's just really grimy and disgusting, because at one point Michael Myers traps Daniel Harris in a room in her house, and her mother tells him to have fun with her. So you don't see what happens, you see the aftermath, where she's naked, absolutely covered in blood, and the walls are just sprayed with blood. So he might have taken off her clothes and raped her and killed her. It's just really disgusting. Again, actually, I don't hate it. I think what I hate about it is the influence of the mother and everything. I think it's not bad just because it's an over-the-top kill. I would like that in my other movies, just because I don't like the movie, so it doesn't really feel earned. Some more people are killed. Yeah, I really want to go to the ending, which is very soon. This is a 2-hour movie. This is a 2-hour movie. I don't want to talk about it for that long. Getting to the end, it's again batshit insane in all the worst ways. They go to this abandoned hut where Dr. Loomis confronts Michael Myers, but also confronts young Michael Myers and the mother. And as he's then thrown through the wall by Michael Myers, who's trying to kill her, the police have arrived. And just as Halloween 4 ended, he's just taking out in a hail of what is it? Hail of Blaze? Blaze of Glory? No, he's shot to pieces without his mask, and he has this big beard. It looks like as I said, like a homeless QAnon, I guess. And out steps Laurie Strode, that's now fully possessed and very pale, and she grabs a knife and goes to kill Dr. Loomis. Like everybody thinks it's Dr. Loomis' fault that Michael Myers is back. Again, I don't know. Is it? If it is, the movie didn't tell me. The movie just tells me through other people saying, like, it's the biggest exposition dialogue in the world. This movie is so poorly written. She's shot, and I guess she dies. So she wakes up in a white bed in a white hallway, sees her mother come in with a white horse, and she smiles menacingly. The end. I think if you want to torture yourself, if you really are curious about how bad a movie can be, and how unpleasantly bad a movie can be, and frustratingly bad, and how bad acting can ruin an entire thing. Well, bad directing, bad sound design. Well, again, sound design is not terrible. Bad cinematography, dialogue, ideas. You should watch these two movies. The two Rob Zombie Halloween movies are pretty much pure torture. I going through the fifth installment made me more angry because of the over the top child acting. It is more pleasant, I guess, to see an adult scream and cry than it is to see a horrible child actor scream and cry. But that's all I can say. I don't think the fifth one is a worse movie than this. It's just in some ways equally unpleasant. So yeah, I think I can say that Rob Zombie's two Halloween movies. I can't remember last time I was so upset after watching two movies. They really did break me. I really felt mistreated after watching them. So if you are now intrigued to watch the full review of the Halloween franchise, you can find a link in the description. If you would like to just read my reviews of each Halloween movie and not waste so much time watching an entire video about them, or listening to it for that matter, you can find my reviews on Letterboxd under the profile The Robot Quits. There will be a link in the description. So yes, that's what I have to say. So have a nice day. Bye.